Brighton Marathon weekend. 2 days of running for the young and old, fast and perhaps not so fast, culminating in the biggest 26-miler outside of the capital. Yeah, we're here on the south coast for the Brighton Marathon. Proper training for an event like this takes months, and often there's a lot of blisters, sweat and tears shed along the way. But for thousands of runners, this is where the hard work pays off. Here's our commentator, Rob Walker, with what's coming up.
Thanks, Jenny. Well, it's the 5th year of the marathon, taking place here in the Sussex Seaside Resort. Big ambitions for this IAAF bronze label race. It all starts with the iconic Schlurp mini-mile races. And then for the very first time this year, we have a Brighton Marathon 10K. It shares the same start as the main marathon in Preston Park and the same finish on Madeira Drive. So just over 6 miles for those taking part in the short one, and then it's 26.2 for the marathon men and women. They'll be pouring through the streets of this atmospheric, generous city. Over the course of the weekend, more than 12,000 runners taking part.
It's very exciting for me, especially as a runner, being joined by running royalty, Paula. And you're starting the race as well tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's the first time that I've been here for the marathon and heard a lot of good things about it, and just excited to see how everyone does tomorrow and to see everybody out there already here at the expo today. It's great to see everybody so excited and nervous and just full of anticipation, wanting to run well tomorrow, and I'm sure they will do.
I know it's quite hard to believe because you're always at the front and you don't really realise how many people are behind you, but for people like me who are quite far behind, it's such a great atmosphere. I mean, are you aware of the 11,000 people behind you?
You are, but I think that's one of the things that as an elite athlete you always feel like you're kind of missing out a little bit. I mean, you're not, because you have the whole atmosphere along the route and all the crowds that are lining the route, but you're not in amongst it as you are further back, and I think that is really amazing as well. I mean, the crowd will carry you along, honestly, that it's like one big carnival moving along, and it does definitely help people, I think, run faster than they think they're going to.
Do you think we'll get to see you doing it again?
Yeah, I hope so. I'd love to be able to run one last competitive race. I'm kind of working my foot back to being able to do that. Everything's going in the right direction, so hopefully I can run one last one.
Well, look, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you doing the Brighton Marathon at some point.
That would be nice too.
This race was started by runners, for runners and for runners of the future. It all starts here with the mini mile in Preston Park, and this is one of the important people. Yeah, the co-race founder, Tim Hutchings. You're a bit of a pro yourself, aren't you?
Long ago. I think it's all black and white film now, but yeah, I used to run a bit.
I love the fact that it starts with this. There's so many young children that are just so excited to be involved.
I know, well, it's great. You know, the Steve Ovett thing with Brighton, you know, obviously he was an Olympic champion. He lived just down the road. This is the next generation. There's so many issues around health of youngsters nowadays. Getting them out, giving them a really good reason and a good background in which to run and enjoy themselves is very, very important. But, you know, what you hope is that these kids will go along to the local athletics club and get involved with the activity there on a more regular basis and get drawn into the sport.
The whole kind of atmosphere is so fun. All the parents are very proud as well, although you can tell some of them have never run at all.
There's parents out here running more than a mile, just run backwards and forwards across the course supporting their own kids. We might have to put on mile races for the adults.
Well, in all, there's been a record 2,000 plus children between the ages of 7 and 16 getting a taste of the action on this fabulous weekend.
Okay, so I'm here with Mr. Clark, Tim from Van Dien School.
Hi there.
Hello there. And these are all your pupils?
Yep, all these students today are going to be taking part in the mini mile.
So you've had to wear school uniform on a weekend? It's not fair, it's not fair. So how did you all get involved in this?
Well, actually, the mini-mile was launched at Varndine back in January. I think the link is obviously Steve Ovett is an ex-student, and because of that, yeah, luckily enough, we were asked to do it. So yeah, really good opportunity. Lots of students across the E-groups getting involved. I think it's an amazing opportunity, and I think it's events like this just help get students involved in, you know, wider participation outside of school. There's always rivalries with other local schools, and yeah, we usually actually have been coming out really successful quite recently, so it's really good to see.
So if the pupils are doing the mini mile, that means the teacher does the marathon, yeah? What's your excuse?
1 year I'll definitely do a marathon, definitely.
We'll see you in the start line next year.
Okay.
Tim's co-race founder is here, Tom Naylor. The race is really on the up this year, isn't it?
Yep, we worked very hard the last 11 months at just looking where we can improve, but looking how we can make it bigger and better. We've added the 10K, which is fantastic, to get them to warm the course up. The 10K course we've chosen, we wanted to make it very spectator friendly. We put a bridge in, we put some more crossing points in so that spectators can go and enjoy the race. For us, that's the most important. Getting 150,000 people to watch the race, that's what the runners need. It's that atmosphere.
Something special this year as well is Paula Radcliffe's involved.
Yeah. 10,000 marathon runners trained for 6 months, and to have our greatest female distance runner and the greatest marathon runner ever to be there on the start line, that's really special. That's really nice to be able to do.
Well, Olympic 5,000 metre runner Nick McCormick took the honours in the inaugural 10K, 29:11, not a bad time for him. And a former marathon winner here in Brighton, Alison Dixon, with a PB, well inside 33 minutes for the women's title. So now to the course for the full 26.2 mile distance. They run past the iconic Brighton Pavilion, not once but twice. And then they head out on the coast road to the turn point, where the course has been amended slightly to take out the biggest hill, making it just that little bit faster. The second half of the course almost entirely flat, but today, as they head out on what's known as the road to hell, they will be heading in to a pretty strong breeze, which will of course be at their backs on the return leg. They go through a tunnel of spectators, huge support on Madeira Drive before the glory of the finish.
Well, the mini mile is now done and dusted, and some of those younger athletes are now becoming supporters as their mums and dads put trainers on and prepare to join the other runners out there for the main event. The race is actually not far from starting, so let's see who Dean Macy and Charlie Webster have been meeting up with.
We're here today raising money for SAND. It's a good charity. Basically supports families that have been the victims of neonatal or stillbirths.
So whose idea was it?
I can gladly say it was Alan's idea. he tends to wear this normally on the weekends, so
You really don't look impressed.
No, I'm loving it actually. You know, it's all for a good cause, and we're all going to have a great time.
What's the reason behind your lovely feathers? Well, I'm running for the National Blind Children's Society, so I thought it'd be nice to make myself seen. Came across the peacock outfit. My hair is usually pink, so I've gone blue for the occasion.
Tell me about the shirt, mate.
It just seemed like a good idea at the time. It's going to rub like hell and it's going to be sweaty and nasty, but you know what? It's worth the pain, isn't it?
I was just saying, my parents' old curtains in their living room like 25 years ago looked that colour. Kevlar, have you trained together?
No, not at all. We work together sometimes, so good reason to run together.
Yeah, just thought I'd put a little number on for today's event, you know, running for good causes, and just like have a little run, wear something a little bit different, a little bit loud, a little bit glitzy.
Do that way too well, mate. Don't want to be a weird, but you've just got a little bit smudged there.
Bless you.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
I think you have too.
What's your biggest, hardest problem with this on your back?
Well, no, the upside, of course, is the attention, and people see it from a long way off, which is great, but the wind gets up under the head, so, of course, it tends to sort of float you up a bit, and your feet start planting as they shouldn't, and that I can do without. But look, at the moment, frankly, if you looked at the forecast yesterday, you couldn't have bought this, so a little bit of drizzle, and it looks fine.
Well, a few understandable nerves fluttering around as the masses prepare to start in Preston Park. Meanwhile, a mile away in Withdean Park, the elite men and women have just a little bit more space around them, a different start line for them. Dominic Kangor is the defending champion. Alongside me to enjoy today's action is former world indoor 1500 metre finalist James Thie. James, is Dominic the favourite on paper?
Thank you, Rob. Absolutely. Dominic Kanga returning from his 2013 triumph. He's had a good year since, taking third place in the Melbourne Marathon and also winning the Kampala Marathon. So he knows how to win, but I tell you what, the organisers have done a fantastic job bringing together a very competitive field here in the 2014 edition.
Some world-class pacemakers will be leading them through halfway. More of them in a moment, because there is the bulk of the field. The training is done. The 5 a.m. runs, it's all been put in the bank and it's being cashed in today over what for some will be a very long and memorable 26.2 miles. And there's no more memorable way to get started than a high five with the women's world marathon record holder and former world marathon champion Paula Radcliffe. Great scenes here for those who managed to get close to arguably our finest female distance runner in history. They're taking their time, some of them, to get across the start. A few stats for you. 371 charities are being supported and represented here today, and they'll raise a total of £5 million. And we've also been reliably informed that that tunnel of spectators down Madeira Drive towards the finish will be some 150,000 strong. Brighton is a city that turns out in force when it comes to this event. Such is the reputation that this Brighton Marathon has generated and established for itself over the last 5 years. Now, this was just a moment or two ago. The elite men and women on their separate start, and there's certainly no hanging around at the beginning of this race. And although he's not the fastest in the field on paper, James Thie, is it hard to look beyond Dominic Kanga, the defending champion, as the pre-race favourite?
Absolutely. Dominic comes in here knowing how to win this race. His personal best stands from this race. The course record, 2:10.46, and the organisers would love to see, for the 5th year in a row, the record going again.
Well, he's certainly very comfortable here on the south coast.
I like Brighton because it's the place where I must put my personal best. That is why I like when the race organizer called me to come back, I responded. And I'm happy to come and defend my title. I'm seeing probably can break the course record.
Well, the defending champion's not the fastest in this field on paper. That accolade belongs to the man running at the back of centre there in the red vest and the pale blue shorts, William Chabal, and he loves support from big crowds.
I'm looking for my best, to do my best. When there are much people cheering, it's good, because when someone is behind you, you can easily catch where the second person is, where somebody's following you. You can get from the cheerers.
Confident words from Chabal, and why not with that personal best of 2:08.21. Well, here's the tall, striding American Pat Rizzo. A good performance in London last year, and he's clearly happy to be back in Britain.
Beautiful place. I mean, I've never been really on the coast in England here, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the historical settings of England. I'm a total history nerd, admittedly, and it's just excellent to be able to see some of these places that are older than America.
Well, Rizzo off the pace in the early stages, or perhaps James just opting to run the first half of the race at his own pace, because the three men whose responsibility it is to keep things ticking along look as though they're doing a good job so far.
Absolutely. For the organisers, putting together a great field is important, but having pacers that have the ability to take them as far as they need, and as we said, they would love to see if they can get them on course record. Boniface Kogan, Matthew Kimatai and Peter Wanjuri will be the three pacemakers today, going to the half marathon, 18-mile and 20-mile distance.
Well, I know Tim Hutchings and the rest of the organisers would love to see a 5th consecutive course record here in this elite men's field. And the three out front, whose task it is to do so, are just ticking them along, and this big elite group are quite happy just to tuck in behind at the moment. Here are the elite women in the very early stages. Fastest in the field on papers, wearing 51 with the pale blue shorts, Helen Mugo. Personal best of 2:27, but that was a few years ago, and she was only just inside 2:40, finishing 16th in Osaka this January. So there's room here for one or two of the slower women on paper to really make a name for themselves today.
Yeah, the course record stands from last year, 2:28.50. I think they're going to be hard pushed to attack it this year, but they do have 2 male pacemakers out front, so it will be interesting as the race develops if they can challenge that course record.
Well, we'll keep our eye on Salama Bere, the Ethiopian, running at the back of that group as well. Those are the leaders. Here are the club runners and the fun runners. And 1 or 2 have just managed to gasp a word or 2 out to Charlie Webster and Dean Macy.
How's it going?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Yeah, 3 miles in, how's the pace?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
This is the first slight uphill section. It's not a heavy suit though, is it?
No, it's very lightweight. Let's hope it doesn't rain, otherwise it'd be really heavy.
Well, I wish you all the very best. Good lad.
Have a nice day.
Or just pulled your seat down. You feeling all right?
I'm feeling tickety-boo.
Yeah.
I can take on the Empire.
Really,
Yeah,
Darth Vader giving you any instructions for
not
today?
Not at all, mate, not at all. I'm loving this.
Dean Macy has a habit of finding the best costumes, and that at such an early stage of the race as well. And one of the most iconic sights on the course is Brighton's Royal Pavilion, and it's passed not just once but twice on this route.
How are you finding the pace?
It's okay, fingers crossed, yeah. I mean, I doubt I'll still be running at the end, but as long as I cross the finish line.
And what about the crowd so far?
I've been really good, yeah, been great support.
Keep going, well done. What's the story behind your sumo?
My daughter's going to Japan with the Scouts in 2015, so I'm raising some money for that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Have you trained in it?
Yeah, around Chessington. My neighbours think I'm nuts, but yeah.
Well, here are the builders who are multi-talented. Stuart Parker and the rest of the 60-minute makeover team, raising money for Adam Brooks Charitable Trust. Well, some have come a lot further than down the A23 for this race, and this lady has swapped continents to be here in Brighton today. We caught up with her on a much sunnier day to find out why.
My name is Pindi Guile and I'm from South Africa, and for a living I'm a radio station manager, and I have been in the media industry for about 20 years now. The radio station, it operates 24/7, so there's virtually no sleep. You work around the clock. With one having to do all of that, it really is important to be mentally fit, and I think running does that for me. When I run, I get to really absorb the environment and really have a wonderful time clearing my mind.
Well, Pindi wasn't always into running. It all started when she got involved with South Africa's world-famous Comrades Marathon, an 89k ultra-distance event.
Because I was such a loud mouth, I was still on air at the time on radio, and I told my listeners that I will be running Comrades. Mind you, at that point I was not a runner. After that, Comrades made me the ambassador. So as a result, I now every year before Comrades go around the country just encouraging more women to run the race, and also find out why is it that there are no women entering some of these races. And it's purely because of fear of the unknown. You know, they just think of this big long race that I have to do, 42 kilometers, oh my God, it's too long, or 89. And it really is a matter of breaking down the race. Take it 1 kilometer at a time, a mile at a time. Running, you know, to actually complete any race, if you're mentally strong, you will be able to do it. If I could complete Comrades from being a non-runner to being a Comrades finisher in a space of 8 months, surely anybody can do. And actually, women go through a whole lot of things, including giving birth. And if you can go through all of those things, running a walk in the park.
Oh, what an inspirational figure the South African is in these early stages.
I'm doing alright, I'm loving it so far so good, loving Brighton Marathon, see ya!
Well, that's the start of our journey, and there's the first few miles of this marathon are very special indeed, but believe me, it is going to get a lot harder for every single one of those runners. Well, Welcome back to the Brighton Marathon, where a sea of runners are taking on the 26.2 mile challenge, and they're being cheered on by what seems like the entire population of a town that loves to show its support. The race, as you can see, is well and truly underway, so time now to rejoin the commentary team.
Thanks very much, Jenny. Well, the leaders have gone past the Royal Pavilion. A sizable group were still together, headed by the trio of pacemakers, and now they turn on to the seafront for the first time, and we get a glimpse here, James, of just how many are still in this big pack.
Absolutely, that is a very healthy lead pack, and at the back you can see number 2, that's Chabor, and on the right-hand side, that's Kanga, number 1. But the paces are doing a very good job at the front, very consistent pace, and they are right on course record pace as it stands.
Just interesting to watch Chabor. He's just out of frame to the left-hand side. He glanced at his watch there, and it is interesting to see the different tactics employed by world-class distance runners. Some, who are not struggling at all, prefer to sit off the back with clean space around them and let everybody else get involved in the nitty-gritty of running in a tightly knit bunch. So it'll be interesting to see if and when Chabor makes a move. Meanwhile, the leading elite women are getting to the same left-hand turn. 2 male pacemakers just dragging things along nicely. 51, Helen Mugo, fastest in the field on paper, but not really making an impact at this early stage. Well, what a contrast. 4 elite women together, many, many more at the head of this elite men's race. And look at this from Dominic Kangor. Well, is it a bid to make a break, or is he trying to get his drink sensibly? That is a good tactic, James. It was quite an extraordinary turn of pace for such an early stage of a marathon, but he was out clear in front and just wanted to make sure he got to the drink station first.
Yes, one of the hazards of the drink stations in a large pack is sighting the table, sighting your bottle. Even at the early stages, having your drink that's made up to your own specification is so vital. So Kanga making sure he got his bottle ahead of the other pack runners.
Well, look how far back William Chabor is, and the reason for that, out of shot, amazingly, he had to stop and retie his shoelace. That is why the fastest man in the field by some margin is 60, 70 metres off the back of the pace. There's the leading cavalcade. They go at the head of the race. They're coming back down from the far turn point of the course. And what a mistake by Chabor. And the question, James, is how does he make his move to rejoin the pack? How quickly will he manage to make up for that mistake?
He's got to make sure he doesn't panic, and he's got to make sure he makes his way back gradually to the lead pack. There's still many miles left to run, and he just needs to make sure that it's done in a controlled fashion.
Well, that's what the coaching manual tells you. If for some reason, for a fall or an untied shoelace, you find yourself off the back, it's trying to wind back the deficit as smoothly as possible and ensure you've still got plenty left come the business end of the race. And it does indeed look as though he's listened to you, James, and he's done it nice and slowly there, but very rarely do you see someone of that class having to stop for an untied shoelace. Well, while Chabor makes his way back towards the lead group, who are motoring along for the rest of the club runners and fun runners, it's a steady twist and turn through the streets of Brighton. We've heard from one inspirational figure, Pindi Goulet, and here's another who demonstrates very much a can-do attitude. Not a first marathon, but this is second time out for a lady with a sizable social media following and a great message for any newcomers to distance running.
I'm Julie Creffield. I'm from Stratford in East London, and I write a blog for plus-size runners, and it's called The Fat Girl's Guide to Running. In my 20s, I was kind of really overweight and was working on the Olympics trying to inspire people to be active, so I felt like a bit of a hypocrite, really. So I agreed to take part in a fun run, and about 30 seconds into the fun run, I thought I was going to die. And as I kind of plodded around, huffing and puffing, some little kid said, "Oi, fatty, run!" And that kind of stuck with me, and I thought, oh, I think I need to do something about my weight. As we approached 2012, I said to my colleague, I'm going to run the London Marathon in 2012, and none of them believed me. They all thought it was a bit of a joke. And I got my place and I trained, and in 2012 I ran my first marathon. And it was really just to show people that I could, because nobody thought I would. And that's really where the blog came about. I started writing it for friends and family to keep them updated with what I was doing. And then bit by bit, other plus-size runners would get in contact and say, oh, you know, that happens to me. kind of inspires me to run more, really, to show that you can. You know, I'm really passionate about kind of leading by example, really, and showing that big girls can run too.
Well, what a great message and a great story there from Julie Creffield. We'll be keeping our eye on her as she negotiates this 26.2-mile route through the streets of Brighton. Many inspirational figures here, incidentally, including a man who's made it even more difficult for himself. Darren Hatch is carrying 30 pounds. The serviceman is running in full kit in memory of his friend who was killed by a suicide bomber in Kabul. Well, Darren Hatch carrying that 30-pound rucksack, but here's a man with music for company, and he's got the moves to match it as well. He doesn't look bothered whether he'll get to the finish at all. And here's a man taking his time, Paul Goldstein, a wildlife photographer. He's running to highlight the plight of Bengal tigers and their battle for survival against poachers who are trying to capitalise on the lucrative Chinese medicine market. And his passion for the cause has had a big impact not only on his preparation for this race, but on his whole life as well.
For many years when I started guiding wildlife trips, I had a real yen about tigers. It annoys me and fills me with incandescent rage why they're suffering so badly. And yeah, about 7 years ago I thought, I wonder, I'd seen London Marathon, I'd seen other marathons, people in costumes, but I was always very wary about the whole costume word. This old girl is a suit. It's not a costume, it's not a gimmick.
Well, Paul's even been out to India with the suit to try and highlight to locals why these magnificent animals are worthy of protection. And he certainly made a big impact on the locals in Brighton, out training for the big day.
It is about Bengal tigers. It is not about me. I'm just the 51-year-old guy inside it, plodding it round the course. It's about not losing these species. And if more people become educated because of the Brighton Marathon, my God, it's worth it. And you think the money this marathon raises for fantastic causes, this is a good cause, so's all of the other ones, whether it's cancer, whether it's MS, whether it's a local hospice, whatever it is, and what people put themselves through. It's just humbling. The greatest thing about the marathon is here, down on the south coast, is the crowds identify straight away. I love that, the way all the runners, there's a tremendous camaraderie and esprit de corps on the course that people just get.
And here is the atmosphere Paul's talking about. So noisy, so enthusiastic, just what these athletes need.
Paralympic bronze medal in London, now Brighton Marathon, mate, wish you suffer.
Well, I don't know, I just enjoy putting myself through hell, I think.
You actually look really fresh.
That's it, it's easy.
What's hurting?
Thighs are starting to ache a little bit.
A quick word on the atmosphere?
Yeah, it's amazing here. It's the 4th year we've done it and it gets better every year.
Stuart, project manager of 60 Minute Makeover, I bet you wish you could finish this thing in the next 60 minutes.
Say the lads have done really well. It's a killer, but the crowds have been superb. He's got a bit of an injury, struggling a bit, so we said we'll start together, we're going to finish together, so it's just a case of dragging these boys through and them dragging me through.
You look like an absolute menace.
I am.
Who is the man behind the wig?
Bill Peel. I'm running for Great Ormond Street.
Oh, superb, mate. You are, unsurprisingly enough, attracting quite a bit of attention from the crowd.
Well, you know what it is, you've got two things in life. You've got your health and you've got the funk. You've got everything.
The funk.
And there's children in Great Ormond Street who don't get a chance to run or play or even grow old, and we can all do that. And this is what it's all about, because we can run and we can play and we do get older. So to see a city get together, instead of being individuals, about giving for one day, it's a magical, magical feeling. I'm so proud to be part of it.
Great support from the crowd, and among those soaking up the cheers, Julie Creffield, still going strong, but a little way behind the South African Pindi Goulet.
I'm just taking it easy, absorbing the environment, love the supporters. Those are the people who make the race.
Well, the pacemakers led the elite men through halfway, pretty much dead level on course record pace, which is 2:10.46. So something would have to pick up in the second half of the race, although towards the end they will have the benefit of a sizable tailwind. Still the pacemakers driving on. And in the mix, the defending champion, Dominic Kangor, but so too the fastest man in the field, William Chabot. Well, now we are getting to the nitty-gritty of this race. The pacemaker just glances across. William Chabot looks as though he's going to take it on. The pacemaker's finished. And now, James, we have a race proper on our hands with 10k to go.
The pacemakers have done their job. Peter Wanjuri, the last, getting them to 20 miles. He's had a good few weeks pacing. Paced the Warsaw Half Marathon a few weeks back and got them bang on pace there. He's done that today, and the interesting character at the front there, that's Wilfred Merger. He was 5th last year, and he'll be looking to go a few places better this year and make the podium. So in the centre of the shot, in the red, is Chabot, the fastest man on paper. So it's 4 Kenyans versus 1 Ethiopian. That's Mekanon, the tall character in the centre. At the back of the group, Robert Langert, making his marathon debut today, a 61-minute half marathon runner. And just in front of him, the defending champion, Dominic Kangor.
Well, I like the intent here of William Chabot, that 2:08.21, maybe giving him the confidence to push so hard into this headwind. Wilfred Merger is going with him. So a group of 5 men still pretty much together, but we have a lone leader in the women's race, Alice Milgo. She won the Toulouse Marathon a few years ago, but this would be a notable scout because she's ahead of Salama Bere and Purity Kimeto in 2nd and 3rd, but they are a long way detached at the moment.
And as we head back to the men's race, a critical point as they turn back past Shoreham Power Station. Now the win will be behind them, and it is the defending champion, Dominic Kangor, who goes to the front.
Well, when you look at Kangor's CV, it's an extraordinary tale of progression. 2:15 in Nairobi back in 2011, 2:15 in Kampala in 2012, both of those at altitude, of course. And then last year, his coming of age, if you like, here in Brighton, 2:10.46. It's an extraordinary progression that he's enjoyed, but he really is going to have to go for it here because Chabot will believe he's got the gas and the experience to beat his compatriot. And let's not forget about Wilfred Merger, 3rd in Houston a few years ago. He's drifting over to the right-hand side of the road, but he's still in touch at the moment. This is fascinating, James. It's cat and mouse. Dominic Kangor is probing for weaknesses, and at the moment, he's not finding any in his 2 compatriots.
He said in the interview earlier that he was delighted to be back in Brighton. The race is really hitting the final stages here. The wind on their backs, and it is Chabot who gets right back on terms with Kangor. This is going to be a super fast last few miles.
Well, just look at the leg cadence of the athletes here. The mere mortals among us, and I don't include you in that bracket, James, wouldn't be able to keep up with this for more than about 400 or 500 metres. William Chabot has got right back on terms with Dominic Kangor. Kangor, the defending champion, fiddles with that vest once and twice with his left hand, glances over his shoulder, and he'll see that William Chabot is equal to his pace. And for the first time, Wilfred Merger in 3rd place has become a little bit detached from the lead duo, and he'll now have to hang on a little bit. These two are really taking it to one another. One has the lead, the other closes the gap, then the other stretches away again. An extraordinary set of exchanges as we get towards the business end of the men's race. Meanwhile, the women, Alice Milgo going past the left-hand side of the shot, and she will have got a glimpse of Abere and Kimeto, who are hanging on in 2nd and 3rd. And surely it's just a case of Milgo holding on to the 2 male pacemakers, and the win here in Brighton will be hers. Well, 3 has definitely become 2 here because Wilfred Merger is out of shot, and the reason for that is the searing injections of pace that are going on between William Chabot in the red vest and the pale blue shorts and the defending champion Dominic Kangor, now just a couple of metres adrift. This is being acted out as if it was a 5 or 4k road race rather than the end of a marathon. These are extraordinary surges of pace.
The leg speed is phenomenal. As we've talked about, they've been hovering around course record pace, but you have to think the speed they're running now, that they're going to be knocking well inside course record, if not heading towards 2:10 sub territory.
Well, I've just been handed a piece of paper, James, and it tells me that the 22nd mile was completed in 4:39. That is eye-watering, even when you take into account the tailwind that they are enjoying, and enjoying being the operative word. And surely one of the best features of this race is that they're not content to sit in and sprint at the finish. They're slugging it out here and leaving everything on the course. Well, most of the hard yards are done for the elite men, but there's plenty of miles still to cover for the masses.
The support here in Brighton truly is tremendous. Now, these runners are doing brilliantly, but the front runners will soon be flying down this road towards Madeira Drive and the finish line. Welcome back to the Brighton Marathon, where we're getting ready for the first runners to cross the finish line. One thing we do know, it's been a very close race amongst the elite men.
It certainly has been, Jenny, and it still is now as we're well inside the last 5k of this race. Dominic Kangol nearest the camera with the black and the yellow vest. He's the defending champion, but on paper, he's not as fast as William Chabor. Chabor was second in Torino 3 years ago with 2:08.21. He won the Jakarta Marathon in October last year, and every time Kangol, the defending champion, has made a move, Chabor has covered it. Two rather different styles. Chabor just a little tense in the upper body. Dominic Kangol rocks and rolls from side to side, but James, there's absolutely nothing in it at the moment, and they're really going for it here with a handy tailwind as well. But this is thrilling distance running to watch.
It's almost like a featherweight boxing match. There is nothing to choose between them, and they're even touching shoulders. They are not giving each other anything of an inch on the road out there of Brighton today. And it's Kangol again going to the front, and William Chabor, as you said, winning the Jakarta Marathon in hot and humid conditions in October. I'm sure he'll be finding the conditions a lot more suitable to fast running today.
Well, talking about fast running, James, look at the increase in pace there from William Chabor. Unbelievable acceleration, and once again Kangol has got to dig deep here. I wonder if this is Chabor's attempt to finally get away and establish a winning lead, because he too wants to be a Brighton Marathon champion. But no sooner has he accelerated than once again, James, Kangol, the defending champion, has responded and managed to close the gap.
Dominic Kangol does not want to give this title up without a fight. And the man on the left of your screen, he is running a phenomenal pace. They are now inside 2:10 pace, so we not only are going to see a course record, but we could well see the first sub-2:10 race ever in Brighton.
Well, I'm sure William Chabor would be delighted with that. It may not be a personal best for him, but it'll be one of the best victories of his career if he can manage to hang on. Dominic Kangol has finally been broken. William Chabor, as he runs past the peace statue, has a little over a mile to go. And here's another stat for you. From 35k to 40k, unbelievably running 14 minutes 37 seconds. That is what it's taken from William Chabor to finally break last year's winner. And surely it's just a question of hanging on now. As he looks over his shoulder, he'll enjoy what he's seeing, because he now has a race-winning margin. So too does Alice Milgo, tracking the male pacemaker. She's had a sizable lead for quite some time. She's clearly tiring here, and she's got to dig deep to make sure of the victory. Meanwhile, on Madeira Drive, they are starting to roar home a new Brighton Marathon champion. The last two British winners of the London Marathon are holding the finish line tape, Paula Radcliffe and Eamon Martin, and they will be saluting a fine, fine finish to a great race. William Chabor is the Brighton Marathon champion for 2014. He's inside 2:09.30. Dominic Kangol, a worthy attempt to defend his title. He too breaks 2:10, a massive personal best, but this time he had to settle for second. But what a wonderful race the two lead men produced.
How does it feel to be the first person to cross the finish line?
Yeah, very happy. Very happy personally.
Dominic was not far behind you today as well. And was there a good competition between you as you were coming into the end there?
Yeah, it was a good competition. Even Dominic was strong also.
I'm happy because we are with strong men, and then strongest makers that boosted their base. That is why we broke the post records and 2:9.
A brilliant head-to-head duel, and we've been rewarded with 2 brilliant times. 2:09.25 for William Chabor, Kangor a worthy runner-up, and Ian Kimpton, the leading Briton, just outside 2:18. Alice Milgo taking the women's title with a massive personal best, but she was absolutely exhausted. She left everything on the Brighton course.
And it's the Ethiopian Serla Maberi that takes the 2nd place here. And what a fantastic result and comeback for the British athlete Rebecca Robinson, the Kendal athlete, her first marathon in 4 years since the Europeans in Barcelona. And just a few seconds outside a personal best, and it's Paula Radcliffe, the first to congratulate her.
Well, that was a brilliant finish to the race from Rebecca Robinson. She really flew through the field. Kimetto was getting tired, but it's Milgo who takes the honours. 2:35.33, a personal best by over a minute and a half. 2 great elite races are finished, but there are thousands still to come.
It's been a really good day. It's just really nice to be part of the atmosphere here and to see the race firsthand, and just to see everybody's excitement and anticipation as they were setting off earlier, and then now to see them finishing having run really well and achieved their goals. I think that now is where we're going to start seeing more people come in en masse, keep that encouragement out there for them as they're finishing.
And this is where the support is really needed. They call it the tunnel of spectators. They're roaring the athletes on. Some are walking, but it doesn't matter as long as they get there eventually.
Phil, last 800 metres, mate, you look like you're hurting.
I'm hurting, very bad, very bad. Poor training, thought I'd done enough, couple of 18 miles, but it's caning me now.
How's it been?
Yeah, it's all right. It started off too quick, I think, and then last sort of 5, 6, 7 miles, I've been knackered.
Just tell me, what are you feeling right now?
Pain, extreme pain. Legs, hips, but tired, but I'm nearly there.
You're nearly there, you're doing so well.
Great encouragement from the spectators. I'm not sure what to say to that billboard, but anyway, it must be tough running as a pig, even more so dressed as a tiger. Paul Goldstein has been passed by Julie Creffield. Perhaps a few words from Charlie Webster might help him along towards the finish.
Oh my, they really help, but I'm afraid I'm pretty much spent. I shouldn't be hitting the wall at 25 miles, but oh dear.
You didn't want it for Dom. I'm going to let you enjoy this last bit of atmosphere. Well done.
Paul, you're an absolute legend, mate. You're an inspiration. Well done, Paul. Good lad.
Well, the noise here on Madeira Drive is absolutely deafening. Fantastic support. You can see thousands and thousands of people lining the route. Some taking it easy in the beach village, watching on the big screen. Everybody here surrounding the last few hundred metres, soaking up the atmosphere and revelling in the spirit with which these thousands of runners are finishing. Tired legs, but smiles on faces.
What were you hoping for?
Well, 3:45 and we've done 3:41.
That's
I've
amazing.
done it every year. That's my quickest today. She got me round. Yeah, no, you got me round the last 3 miles.
You're amazing. You finished under 4.
Yeah, that's what I was aiming for, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was it?
Yeah, it was hard, really hard, but it was enjoyable. The crowd was amazing and kept you going all the way round.
Wanted to get under 4 and we got 3, 4, 5, so yes, very happy.
Well, Pindi Goulet, a veteran of the Comrades Ultra race. She's come all the way from South Africa. I wonder what she's made of this experience.
Brighton is a must. It has now qualified as a must. And I must say, I said it earlier on, this is by far the best marathon I've ever done. So kudos to Brighton Marathon.
Well, here's Stuart Parker in red and the boys from the 60-minute makeover. They've made it despite the lack of training.
Well done.
Oh, we've done it. These guys were amazing.
You've
we got
done
it.
That was tough. That was really tough.
Tougher than you expected?
Yeah, towards the end it was getting really tough. But it's good. A lot of support, it was really good. That last little stretch, I almost got a little bit emotional.
Well, the strength of feeling in everyone is clear to see at the finish.
Jeanette, you looked actually a little bit emotional after that.
Yes, I was emotional.
Just how hard it was, or for any other reason?
Well, it's just hard, and I didn't think I could ever do a marathon, and I've done it.
Julie, you are inspirational to many, many people. You can see how much it means to you. You've got like 500 yards to go. How's it been?
So hard, so hard.
Listen to this support, though. That's all for you. It's made it worthwhile, surely.
It has, yeah. It's been amazing.
Under 6 hours with a tiger on your back, not bad.
I just love the reaction from people to everybody. You know, and you've got to be cheery over these things. This is a sobering subject. You know, you look around, people are doing it for MS, for cancer research, for all sorts of wonderful charities, and they all matter.
Darren Hatch honouring the memory of his friend in fine, fine style.
Amazing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The support, I've never known it before. I'm also now known as Army Boy or Army Lad, and even had police officers cycling with me, having a chat down by their power station. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
There's no doubt this event has been embraced by an entire city, and every spectator and every competitor has more than played their part.
Well, what a brilliant weekend it's been here in Brighton. The sun has even come out. My only regret possibly being this side of the camera and not running every step of the way with the thousands of runners that have made this such a special weekend. Until next year, bye-bye.